Hey, Ventini, welcome to the All UV cast. This is episode 12 from season 4. We're going to cover Inter versus Juventus. And we've got
Oh,
Alex coming in here right hot out of the gate. And no, Cliffy had a big day for us yesterday, hosting a great watch along. And then Anthony jumping in halftime. And then, Cliff, tell us about it. How was it,
oh,
man?
Oh, it was so much fun. Such high energy. Obviously, with Inter when they started off with the first goal, it was I was like pretty down, and then as soon as we got the penalty, we were still in it though. We were obviously, and Lucas saying can't stop smiling, Tony. Um,
uh, I, sorry to interrupt, but if this show is going to go in any sort of direction near how Al was reacting in the green room before the show, this is going to be a beauty.
Yeah.
100%,
We're
man.
going to do our best to keep it clean, but Al is, we'll say Al's a little hot this morning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a little annoyed, to say the least. It's great to see everybody jumping on right off
Oh,
the
man.
bat here out
it
of the
was great
gate.
though. Great,
Cliff
great
did a
watch along.
fantastic job yesterday, and
Oh, man.
Anthony helped out too, jumped in half. I jumped in. My daughter jumped in big time. If anybody caught that
Eric,
live, I
Eric
think
jumped
she
in,
was,
yes.
yeah,
Eric came in.
yeah, she needed a goal from UV, and that's why she was fired up. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get to covering the game, some of the key highlights from it, and then we'll give our summaries. We'll get into the Striped Hearts man of the match, and then we'll break down all the fallout. And yes, Dells, we're definitely going to get into the talk about us being thieves. Don't you worry. Alex, let it all out. Yes, absolutely, we will. So, real quick, just a little business out of the way, and we got the new website fired up, alluvcast.com. Always looking for writers. Have a strong list already. Thank you to those who have reached out. If you yourself are interested in writing articles for the website surrounding La Vecchia Signora, just simply reach out. Another one is if you're listening to this on the audio, these podcasts are all recorded live on YouTube. Get over to the channel and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's get to it. We got our lineups going into this one, and right out of the gate, Allegri is an idiot. No Dybala, Chiesa, or Delict. This is all I have to hear about and read about right out of the hop. It was pretty simple for me. We're going to get your guys' thoughts. For me, Dybala is probably not up to a full match fitness. Easy one there. Chiesa had a couple things. Number one, if we wanted to go 3-5-2, I'm not sold on him as one of the guys up in top two. He's a winger all day. That would have also put him at wing back. Not 100% sold because he might have spent a lot of his majority playing defensively. The other is Delict. I really got nothing on Delict. He probably could have played, but that's how I feel. And again, the names that are in there instead, all strong. So whether it's Delict sitting or Chiellini sitting, whatnot, I'm fine with it. That was my thoughts on the lineup. Not a whole lot to look into. Your guys' take.
I'll
Go
let
ahead,
you go
Cliff.
first.
Oh, you want me to
Oh,
start? I,
yeah.
I, I wasn't. I thought Delict was injured, but that was a coach's decision. I fully agree with you on the on not starting Chiesa. I would have went with a lineup where he does start, but
Yes.
Max has gotten it right the 8 games previous. So I think he gambled a little bit today. Yesterday, and sort of paid off, sort of didn't. So kind of a he had to try something different, and that was a game. He went same lineup against Inter that they play, which was a little weird. But anyways,
Yeah,
Cliff, what do you
and
got?
that's a good point too, because I did say the biggest risk was probably a couple question marks both being in the lineup in terms of Weston McKennie and Kulishevsky. And I do agree with you 100%, Anthony. I would have had something that at least allowed Chiesa to be in there in one of his strong positions. I was calling for a 4-5-1 that would turn into a 4-2-3-1 attacking because it allows you to play a player on Brozovic and it allows you to get Chiesa on the wing. I still say that is best suited for our game overall, both defensively and the offensive phase. Cliff, your thoughts?
So in terms of what Allegri went with, it seemed like he wanted to see. Well, he didn't put Chiesa in. He didn't have Dybala. We obviously know fitness wise, not ready. Chiesa, I think he left on the bench just getting into his mindset was probably like, let's see how long we can hold out with this side. And then if we need to inject some creativity, inject some pace, then you throw Chiesa in as the the winner, or somebody who could change the match. But maybe he thought, okay, we can match up well with this team against Inter, and we could hold them to maybe 1-0 or a draw, and then have somebody in to be the game changer to win this match. Obviously, we came out with just a draw. But if you're gonna say Chiellini and Bonucci, that's, I think, your starting lineup in the big matches with just experience wise. De Ligt's been proving himself lately, and he might slot into that back to at some point this season. But I don't really have any problems with what Allegri went with, except I think he isolated McKinney a little bit too much. He gave him a lot of responsibility. I think he did decent for what the task was. He had a big task ahead of him. I think he performed decent. He wasn't anything special, but he did well.
Yeah, we'll get to the player performances and everything. We got a few comments coming in here with Alex saying, I think Berna's injury messed up the formation a lot. And Benta wasn't on point last night. Sandro also very poor. We'll get to the player performances for sure there, Alex. Now let's kick it off with some of the highlights there through this match. So, of course, we've got a header just going over the bar early on from Inter off one of their corner kicks, and then we get to a scramble. We got to say, overall, I have to say, there was not a lot in this game for the amount of fire in the aftermath of this thing. Like, I'm just like, this game deserved a draw. I have to be clear about this right before we even get into this highlight.
I think I'm pretty sure that Inter fans had a feed of last year's game, and we watched this year's game because they were really mad.
According to them, they had complete control, and it was, for me, this was a game of two halves. Inter better in the first, Juve much better in the second, and it ended up stalemate, and rightfully so, in my opinion.
I want to give a quick shout out to my guy Svik Mister, huge Juventino, and thank you so much, man, for hopping on. Me and him did a the Juventus stream together on Bepe's channel. Phenomenal guy, great Juventus fan.
That's awesome.
Oh, is he the Israeli guitarist guy?
Yes.
Dang. Oh yeah, here we go.
Fantastic stuff. All right, now
Welcome.
Let's get on. After the header off the Inter's corner going over the bar, we end up getting a little bit of a scramble in front there. Morata actually does well directing this to goal. A little bit of a scramble there, and unfortunately nobody could capitalize on the rebound from Handanovic, who I must say we need to test every time we play these guys because he's awful.
He looked shaky. Every time he grabbed the ball, he fumbled it. He never really made any comfortable saves. He always looked very nervous on the ball.
Yeah, he's a toilet. We'll keep going on here. In Ant's word, he stinks. For me, he's a toilet. We'll get to
Ant
the
thinks
next
everybody
phase.
stinks.
So Bernardeschi obviously gets a stinger in his shoulder. It's a sprain. Gets treated. They're looking at him. He goes to the sideline and calls for another minute, and before making a change. So we wait. And what ensues is a little bit of a loss in defensive shape looking at this image. So while we want to, attack him or whatnot, and I might add, this shot gets deflected as Locatelli tries to step in front to block, takes one hell of a deflection, okay, before hitting the bar and then getting to Dzeko, who taps home for the 1-0. Very, very unfortunate. But before everybody, and this is the part that bothers me, once a scapegoat, always a scapegoat, because we're going to get on Bernardeschi. Well, we're not, but a lot of fans are. And when you look at this is shades of last year's defending, okay? You look at this right here. This came off of a throw-in, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a throw-in, and Skriniar was found, and then he simply found Çalhanoğlu in that spot. And I'm looking at this right now, and I see 3 mids, not one of them on an actual mark. And they all, 2 of them, in Benta and Loca, were actually down by the sideline. Or sorry, not Benta, that's Sandro. Sandro and Loca were actually down by the sideline. And if you look here, there's a huge pocket of space there. It's just a breakdown defensively. And Çalhanoğlu should not have had that amount of time coming off of just a throw in. Everybody should have been in position. So to throw this on Bernardeschi is actually laughable, to be honest, because the other guys just need to shut it down for a couple minutes. And even after all this, it's so incredibly lucky that the shot deflects off Locatelli in the craziest manner to come off that bar like that. And
it was going into the fourth row.
yeah, like it was going wide. And if you watch it from the replay I saw where it was behind Chesney,
Yep.
you can see the trajectory that ball was about to take. It was going nowhere near goal. So very, very unfortunate.
But we talked about this. You guys talked about this in the pregame. This was going to take, an odd goal or a PK, and to kind of break the deadlock. And actually, we got both.
And I want to state real quick on this, like, I don't think it was like there was a little bit of a defensive breakdown, but you see everybody's charging to the ball, albeit a little bit late. But the thing is, if he did put this on target, you just have to credit him for putting on a phenomenal shot, because everybody was getting in front of the ball. But the three guys running to one guy, that shouldn't be the case. Somebody should be marking him. You shouldn't have to have three guys running to catch up to the shooter.
It should have been much tighter from the get-go. And I mean, yeah. And you look back here, I mean, there's a huge pocket of space. There was options to, even put a ball into there. This was just a very unfortunate goal. And again, defensively, like, just has to be better. So
and that was their most dangerous shot.
And we'll get to it. For them to, shit on us and our opportunity and our goal and how it came is laughable. Now, there's a comment in here about Dzeko's hand offside. And there were photos of that, but it doesn't matter, because you can't, apparently by rule, you cannot score with your hand. Now, I know that, and I was retweeting this tweet because it was a tweet that showed the Ronaldo goal from earlier this year that got disallowed. That line, this is where I have the issue, is because the lines are just not consistent. So this one is at his hand. His hand can be offside, apparently by rule now, right? The one on Ronaldo, supposed to come off of his shoulder. But the funny thing about it is they dropped the line on the outside of the shoulder, which technically by rule wouldn't be a part that you could score with. So what they needed to do is have the line on the inside where it's your actual chest, where chest meets, like, that upper chest meets shoulder. And they didn't do that. That was the funny thing about that whole thing. So by rule, if they considered that the area, Ronaldo would have been offside on this one. This particular plate, watching it live, I thought Dzeko was offside. He's not offside.
Al's starting to cook.
I think what bothers people is just the inconsistency, man, with the calls. Like if they were consistent, I don't think you'd see not nearly as much outrage, just because VAR is supposed to be in place for a reason. It's supposed to be getting every call right and to be calling it consistently the same way. And that's the problem. It's not being called consistently the same way. It's being interpreted different ways, which brings into some human error aspect of it. But if you're not consistent with these calls, then you're going to get a lot of people upset.
But that one is literally just drawing the line from the proper area on Ronaldo's body. So, like, it's so funny because we're working off that, and I'm like, how on earth is the outside of your shoulder? Like, it's funny. It's laughable.
And I think that's what City is trying to do. They're trying to. I think they're bringing all VAR reviews into one location instead of having it at each location. Like I said, like how like the NHL, the NFL does it. They have central review stations. So I think you get more consistency that way. This is a goal. I don't care what anybody says. It's a shitty goal. It's a goal.
Now we continue on. We start to try to get back into this, and Cuadrado will end up coming up, taking a big rip, and actually just curled away from goal there. I don't think Handanovic might have got a piece to it. It would have been very, very tight.
Didn't miss by much.
Target.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You didn't miss by much.
Yeah, he didn't.
That's what they needed to do more this game. We saw Sandro do that on the left side as well, and I'm assuming you'll get to that at some point. They just need to take shots on Handanovic, make him dive, force him to make saves, because that's when, you put him in a precarious position. He tries to dive, maybe it deflects off his hands, and then you have a ricochet goal.
Yeah. Then we get Inter coming back and Perisic getting into a good opportunity, but thankfully he sucks. So, he just fired that one into the crowd. And, I don't usually break the games down like this, but everybody, I hate this team. Okay, I absolutely hate this team. So.
This was off Juan Cuadrado trying to do too much, and he went ass over tea kettle.
Yeah, and he's going to be one of the guys we talk about on the performance side of things, because since the break, he has been dreadful, absolute dreadful.
Yeah, there you go, Luca.
And we continue on, and let's just get to this, because there was a couple opportunities before this. Juventus started to kind of put the squeeze on. Nothing, like really, really crazy. I mean,
just a free kick, really.
Free kick that we just couldn't get onto and whatnot. Chiellini tried to deflect it. It wasn't Dybala's best, but we get into this, and this is where the Moji effect comes into play, according to all the conspiracy theorists still. Look, the stuff that I was reading is absolutely laughable. Oh, it's a 1-0 game. Oh, he's barely in the area. Oh, he barely makes contact. Doesn't matter by rule. Okay, the ball's put past, he comes in late, he's not in control of his body, and he contacts the player. It's a penalty. It's a penalty by the letter of the law, easily, and they just have to get over it. The defense of that is laughable. Oh, he barely makes contact. That's not in the rules. Oh, if you barely make contact, or the context of the game, it's 1-0, has no bearing on the play. It's laughable to even think. So they need to just get over this thing. It's a PK.
Yeah. Can I say something on this, Al? Because obviously we've all seen the timeline, the Twitter timeline, how it went nuts. And I've seen people who I do respect, arguing that it wasn't a penalty. So first of all, it's a penalty. He goes through his leg. I think we understand this, but if people want to say it's soft, I respect that. If you want to say it's soft, because it's not like he runs him over or anything, but he does go through his leg. There's clear contact. It is a penalty. I actually, on the live stream, I called it a penalty when it first happened. I said, that's going to be called a penalty because he goes through his leg on the contact. It's not just a shoulder where you're like shouldering someone off. That's fine. But he goes through his leg. It's a clear penalty. I don't know why people are getting so upset, because people are saying, oh, if this is a penalty, then, everything's a penalty because this is minimal contact.
And that's the part that is laughable. Even if somebody's saying it's soft, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a soft penalty, hard penalty, whatever. It's a penalty.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if it's soft.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to compare, the veracity of a penalty call to, baked goods. Is the bread too soft or too hard, or it's a penalty. It's not really subjective. Like, it is sort of subjective, but it's like, this is pretty clear. And I know someone put a tweet out there. I think it was Georg who put out something about you can really distinguish between journalists and journalists after how they called this a penalty or not a penalty, or how they're commenting on this. It's I don't really put a lot of attention into it. Maybe I'm just too old to deal with that crap. But whatever. People want to be whiners. That's just a loser mentality, and they're just losers in life. So you just gotta put the blinders on. Don't worry about the roadkill.
It was a clear penalty when Lautaro decided to he wanted to hug somebody's ankle in the area, but I didn't hear too many shouts from the Inter fans on that one.
Well, there you go. And the mesh just fired that out. There you go.
Yeah. Like, it's just ridiculous. They just need to stop.
But I do want to say, on the other hand, I saw people saying, like, oh, that's a extremely dangerous tackle from Dumfries. He should be, red card, banned. And if people are, like, actually serious about that we need to calm down a little bit on. Like, it's a penalty. Let's leave it at that.
And then they've got the Lautaro penalty that they got last season against us again. There's a ton of evidence. They just want to keep going.
You'll love this one now.
This whole thieves thing. And the funny thing is, look no further okay, Inter, if you want to talk about thieves, look no further than you guys yourselves, okay? Because you guys had to get handed a couple of paper scudetti, okay? So shut the hell up, all right? Now, guys, our boy steps up, okay? Gets a goal. Dybala, all right? Ties it up. See what it means. I love it. Absolutely love it, okay? 1-1, summary of the game. This is what the match deserved. That's as easy as it was. It had a stalemate on it the whole way through. I don't have a lot more to add to this thing because there wasn't a whole much in this game. I think, unfortunately, and we're going to get to the player performances and why I feel a lot of them kind of struggled. Alex made a good point earlier about the Berna injury kind of throwing a loop into the setup and whatnot. But honestly, the setup itself wasn't ideal. And I hear a lot of discussion about, did Allegri outcoach himself? Did he overcoach? That's interesting too. The players that weren't on there, I mean, hindsight's 2020, but would it necessarily have changed a whole lot? I'm not so sure, to be honest. It's one of those things where I think the game could have been different if we didn't try to play their type of game the first half. I think we gave them way too much credit and respect, and we got away from things we needed to do to succeed in order to kind of slow them down. That's kind of how I felt. But let's start off with Anthony, his breakdown, and then Cliff, some short summaries, and then we'll get to the goods.
Yeah, I don't have a lot in this, so I'll just try and hit the people with the data. Some things that just stood out to me. So passes 488 to 514, pretty even. This game was pretty much even all around. When you look at, possession of play in the different areas, 26% in Inter's half, 28% in Juve's third, and then 46% in the middle. Again, pretty stalemate. You have when you look at the player positionings of both teams are basically right there in the middle. There's no real advantage one way or the other. I would say two things. One, and sort of player performances. One, Locatelli only touched the ball 49 times. That can't happen. His number has to be easily double that. So Inter did a good job of shutting that down, and he was basically non-existent. The game changed once Dybala came into the game. You could feel like the whole attitude shift. He was encouraging the players. He was, he was the captain. I can't remember the last time I've seen Dybala come out there and command the troops. So that was nice to see. And but other than that, like you said, stalemate. There's nothing else to really get to. But I'll get to Juve's past 4 games, the next 4 games as we move on here. Cliff, what did you see, buddy?
So watching the game, I think this game screamed for Chiesa to be in there in some capacity, whether people want to say he should have been in for Cuadrado or if he should have went in on the left side once Bernardeschi came out. I'm of the mindset that he should have came in when Bernardeschi went down because what was it, the 18th minute? Even if you end up subbing him late in the game, if you put him on then, you spark something. You have him going at, I believe, Perisic on that side. And I think he would have oh, no. Was it Darmian? I think it was Darmian on the right, if I'm not mistaken.
Darmian played yeah.
So if he's going at Darmian, I think Chiesa would have feasted on Darmian. Because obviously Benta came in over there, and he's not going to do a lot going forward. He's not going to take on Darmian one-on-one. But I think if you put Chiesa in there, he gets by Darmian a couple of times, and you get some real chances going towards the box. So I think that could have made a big difference. But I called it in the pregame. I called Dybala with a late game winner, but obviously he came in to draw the game, obviously, albeit in controversial standings.
No,
but
you don't need to quote that. It wasn't controversial.
Oh, I know it's just jokes, messing with people, but yeah, I mean, but overall, like you said, not much to do in this game. Very tight, both teams with a few chances, but nothing screaming out of the ordinary.
Yeah. But I got something for Al, our master tactician. Do you think in any way Allegri was picked his players based on playing 2 more games this week for this game?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think he did. I
Like putting
honestly, I think
Chiesa on the bench wasn't a forecast for him having to play possibly 180 minutes. No.
no, because it can't. I think like if you've got what
Mhm.
Sassuolo next,
And then
and who's
Verona.
on the weekend?
Verona.
Verona. No, like it's Inter. It's a big one to climb another big rung in the ladder of the table. I
Mhm.
don't see it. I literally think he did that potentially the rest because of the fact that he's put into kind of stinkers for Chiesa standards, and the fact that I think what Allegri wanted to achieve wouldn't have put Chiesa in the best position to succeed in this
Mhm.
particular one. Because if you're going to pick a player out of your top two forwards that needs to mark Brozovic, are you going to use Chiesa for that? Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
For me,
And
that spot would have had to have been Bernardeschi, or as we saw, Kulishevsky. If
and
you're going
Eric
to
brings
put
up a good point on
if you're going to
the
put
chat there.
Chiesa on a wing back, no, like it's still too much defensively that he's going to do. But again, as we said at the start, find something that maybe like caters more to all our guys. There needs to be a setup. And I've been saying this since the start of the season for Allegri. He's got to find not just one setup, but he needs to have a couple options based on the personnel. Because if we look at our players, it changes drastically what we can and can't do based on who's out there. And the system and the setup is going to have to help a lot. We've got guys, and we're going to talk about this as we get right into this is a perfect segue into the player performances. But a lot of the guys struggled in this one. And a lot of the time when I'm watching, I kind of feel for them. Not, and some of the times it's just them, it's just the players and the decision making and whatnot. But a lot of the times, the options that need to be available aren't, because we spent so much time in that first half focusing on the opponent and just letting them kind of dictate our own shape and where our guys are going. There was a couple players that seemed a little bit lost. Okay, but we're going to get on this whole thing. 4-2-3-1 from Lucci, and I agree because I think we have multiple guys that can play behind the forward if you need them to. Kulishevsky, Dybala's best, I think, there, and Bernardeschi even, right? As far as wingers, again, you can use Keane can even play out there. You've got Chiesa. You've got Kulishevsky can go there. You got Quadrado. I like it. I would have liked to see us kind of put something that's stronger to us going at Inter rather than letting them dictate our setup. But
I'll disagree on one point there, Al. In the last 9 games in this run of unbeaten, Allegri's used all the formations. So
it's been 4-4-2.
Right, but he's played. This was basically a 3-5-2.
Was it though? Because it
It looked
kind
like
of
a
played
4-4-2.
4-4-2.
Was it
It
playing
kinda
a
looked like,
4-4-2?
It
but
played 4-4-2. The only thing was Kulishevsky that really changed, right? I think offensively, even if you try to look at that, Sandro got up. It just kind of went to a 3-5-2 in the offensive phase. It was very, it's funny because, again, I've been saying this, it's very Pirlo-esque of what Pirlo wanted to do. The only difference is how Allegri shapes us up defensively is much more organized and better structure than what Pirlo was doing. But offensively, it was very, very similar. I think the Bernardeschi thing was kind of like a toss-up, and it was very strange because we saw Chiesa getting ready, but then all of a sudden Bentancur ended up getting ready and being the sub. So it was like a little bit maybe of indecisiveness there from Max, which was kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody else caught that.
Well, you can't
yeah.
plan for it, right? So you're just like, you got to you have a minute to make a decision there. Do you got to change your formation? Like, what do you don't really plan for those things.
Yeah,
I would,
absolutely.
if I were Max, actually, I'll go to my other point next. But if I were Max, because he's played McKennie on the left, he could have played McKennie on the left and slided Benta in. Really, if he was going to put Benta in, I would have actually liked that a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, it worked out. We got the draw. We came out with the win, or not win, but the draw. But like you said with the formations, either it's a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 attack, whatever you want to call it. You have the two midfielders. In a perfect world, we have Artur and Locatelli sliding into those midfield positions, and you have Dybala at the cam dropping in to receive the ball in the midfield and then doing what he does best, being creative, going forward. But then our secondary formation, I think, needs to be a 4-3-3. If you're missing some pieces, 4-3-3, I think the second best formation that suits us.
Yeah. Now, let's just get to the Striped Hearts Apparel man of the match. We're going to go with the highest rated, and then we'll give our actual lowest rated. We're going to kick it off with Anthony.
Yeah, we had a bit of a chat in the group post game here. My notes, I thought in the first half, I thought Morata and Kulusevski had a great first half. I thought Cuadrado had a good first half. They won't be my man of the match, but they started the game well. It was tough for me to pick one, so I actually took Eric's man of the match, and when he mentioned it, I was like, he did have a good game, so I'll take Chiellini for this one. Good game, solid game at the back. It basically they shut Inter down. That one half chance. Dzeko had another header from between the penalty spot and the top of the 18. Nothing really dangerous. So this comes to the people from Eric through me. We'll take Chiellini as the man of the match.
There you go. So Chiellini going to be your man of the match. I'm going to slide in there, Cliffy, and just give you guys mine, and it was basically Dybala. I had Dybala, even though he came in. You guys can see there on the stat pack there, 25 minutes played, scored in the PK, but instantly changing the outlook of the match. And the biggest thing for me was he was holding guys accountable, and he was on them for decisions they were making, missing key progressions of the ball, and you could see him flip out immediately, and he was demanding it, and he was dictating everything. I was very, very much impressed, and it's the Paulo we need to see, and I was very, very happy to see it, and I gave it to him. I don't know if we push as hard towards the end and actually generate even as much, even though it wasn't a whole lot, but as much as we do without him coming in there, to be 100% honest. So I went with Dybala on the highest rated, even though it was 25 minutes. That tells you a lot about this game. Cliff, who did you have?
So first of all, Chiellini is a great shout. But I think for me, it's Dybala. Like you said, as soon as he gets on the pitch, you see a difference in the mindset. You see a difference in what he brings creatively wise. But I think since he's had all these injuries in the last few years and these, health stuff with COVID, I think you see a different Dybala. I think you see a hungrier Dybala. You see a guy who appreciates it more, wants it more. And I think you see him taking on that captain role because he realizes, nothing's promised, nothing's given. I need to make the most of every time I get on the pitch. And as soon as he gets on the ball, he weaves, he flows like nobody I've seen in football. The only other player, and this is high praise, the only other player I've seen move that smoothly on the ball the way he flows is Messi. Messi floats when he's on the ball. Dybala floats when he's on the ball. And he makes a huge difference in the mindset. And obviously, he scored the penalty. I'd give it to Dybala because he changed that game. He changed the outlook of it.
Yeah.
Hard to argue.
Now, the lowest. Let's get back to Anthony here, and who you had as the lowest ranked.
I don't think this person would be, the lowest ranked in terms of, the official scores that you want to put out there, points. But this game needed more Locatelli. So for me, I wouldn't say he was, officially at the lowest rank, in terms of scoring wise, like I said. But I was expecting more from Locatelli this game. So I'd say the most disappointed player I was in, I guess if you want to call that rank today, because everyone was kind of, meh game. I would say Locatelli, because that's kind of two games in a row where he's been sort of non-existent. So we need to see a little bit more from him. Hopefully he picks it up midweek.
Yeah, and again, I think it's tough to hit a guy with a rating, and Eric and I kind of got into this yesterday, and only to come to the conclusion that we were arguing completely different points. But yes. The thing is that I think it's hard to rate him or bring his rating down for something the game dictated that
Right.
like Inter kind of took him out
Yep.
smart because he's the guy we have to run through. Much like we try to rule out Brozovic. I don't bring his rating down enough to be the lowest because when he did get those touches, even if it was extremely low from what we need, he was by far not making the most errors out of all the guys that were on there. So that's the only reason I didn't have him down there. But I agree in the points that he needs to be more involved and we need to find a way to free him up if they're trying to lock him down. Now, unfortunately, I think what ends up happening is you can't rotate him in and out with the other guys that are on there, Bentancur and Weston McKennie, and that's where it becomes a problem. And that's why when Artur entered the pitch yet again, we see the guys we need to run with. And I think those two need to be in the middle of the pitch at the same time so that you give the opponent far too much to think about and should hopefully free up Locatelli. Been saying it for a while. Artur getting in there should free up Locatelli for him to do damage for us. But yeah, I mean, can't argue with the fact he needs to be more involved than 48 touches. That just has to happen. Cliff, your lowest.
So Luca makes a great point. He says so many subpar. It's hard to pick just one. I completely agree. But for me, I'm gonna say Bentancur just because every time he got on the ball, he made like one good run, and that was all I saw from him. But for me, he just like he looked very lost. A lot of the times he took the ball and then he had his back to goal and he was getting surrounded and he just was looking like a deer in headlights. He didn't know where to go with the ball, and a lot of the times it led to a turnover. And people could say McKennie's touch was off, and this goes back to the McKennie.
Oh God, I see you got an agenda against Bentancur, man. You want him on the bench so your boy McKennie can get in there with his big McDonald's tracksuit, whatever the hell he was wearing today.
You know what though? I mean, people want to say his touch wasn't great this match, but you know what? Positionally,
this match,
you can or in past matches his touch isn't there, but you can't say he's never
touch
in the right
of a rapist, man.
Easy with that. Easy with that. Bentancur is not much better with his touch lately. But I want to say they both get into situations where they get lost at times. But at least McKennie is making right runs, and positionally, most of the time, he's in the right spots.
Oh, I gotta argue. He gets lost too easy.
Okay, we did this last time. We're not going to go into
we won't go down the rabbit hole, but I think Bentancur is the lowest. I think Bentancur is the lowest. Let's believe it that.
Okay, that's your opinion. And we'll leave it at that.
Yes, it is.
McKennie gets lost positionally, but he's not my lowest in this match, nor should Bentancur. For me, Kulishevsky, man. Kulu's up there for one of the lowest. And I know that everybody wants to praise because I saw a lot of the praise for him running around and doing a kind of a thankless job and whatnot. But the opportunities on the ball were painful, to say the least, out of where he was going, the decisions, having options, having space to go into, and choosing to run into the worst possible area where he just gets picked off and shut down. Again, a thankless job. Morata was getting shouts for the lowest. That dude was on an island, man. Like he had nothing to do, nowhere to go. Yeah. And again, Bentancur, as Cliff makes a shout, us not being happy positionally with McKennie, Sandra Bupor, again, Loka not getting as involved. This is the point I wanted to make. When we're starting to have a good number out of the lineup that we can say can all be considered, I look at a bigger picture, and that's our setup going into this one and how we wanted to play. And again, allowing them to get our guys out of position, to the fact that when we had the ball or Kulishevsky had the ball, the options were not where they needed to be. The support was not in there. All that for me ties into the system itself. So I think we allowed Inter a little too much respect personally, especially in that first half. And I think overall we could have done much, much better. In terms of the game as a measuring stick, I think it shows us where we stand, and that's we can take any of these guys. There's no fear whatsoever. And again, it shows us our key guys need to be in a setup where they can all play. Bottom line, for me, Arthur and Loca is a must in the middle of the park. Dybala is a must when fit. And Chiesa, when he came on, not a whole bunch there. He needs to pick it up. Quadrado needs to pick it up. Quadrado is on a lot of stinkers since the break.
Yeah, well, he gets a pass on one because he just got off a plane. And Chiesa, like we talked about last game, he was played at a position last game up top. This game, he comes on in the X minute whenever he came on. He's a type of player. I think Cliff, you and I were talking about this during the live yesterday. He's a type of player like a number 9 who needs to start from minute 0.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he needs to heat up. They need to get into the game.
He needs to go through the gears, right?
Yeah, he needs to lose some touches. Yeah,
I agree with that 100%. The other thing is too, it just highlights my point of the setup. We need to find one that's suitable to all our strengths, and it's not going to be the same when those guys are out of the lineup. So to try to play that way, it makes things a little bit more difficult.
The good thing is that we should have it for Wednesday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry?
Or Saturday. We should have the lineup that Al wants for Wednesday or Saturday. Everybody's available.
Everybody's available. We'll see what ends up happening. Now, one of the key things. Sorry, Cliff. Just want to get this out is that Mirko Di Natale brought up a fantastic point in terms of schedule now. Right, we've played the guys that are in the top 4 spots right now. Okay, we're
plus Torino.
Well, sorry.
Plus the Derby.
Plus the Derby, which is always tough. Now they all need to play with one another, and that's where you can see the points start to shift and change. Obviously, Napoli and Roma going to a draw yesterday. It's going to start turning around, and now this is Juve's chance to continue to further climb ahead and start to catch up even more. And I think it's going to happen. We're sitting fine, and then we have to remember second half the fixtures reverse. So this is very advantageous for Juventus. Emoji effect. Your guys' thoughts on that?
I'll let Ant go first. No, I'll let Ant go first.
100% agree, right? We've played the top 4 teams and we finished with 1 win, 2 draws, and a loss. And the 1 loss, we were playing our B team, and Napoli needed 2 mistakes to beat us, plus Torino. So 5 of the 9 games were against, I would say tough opponents. Now, I think this is a tale of 2 halves in terms of the last 8 games. The previous 4 and then the next 4. The last 4 games, 3 of 4 were on the road. And we came out with, 4 wins. 3 wins and a draw. The next 4, 3 of 4 are at home. So big difference. You can get bodied, less travel. You should have players back healthier, quicker. So big swing here. It should, because we go Sassuolo Wednesday, Verona Saturday, and then we're home to Zenit, and then we're home to Fiorentina. So should be 4 wins rolling up here in the next 2 weeks.
And a little bit off topic, but I made a statement on Twitter. I put, and this was kind of in jest. I think most people who know me knew it was in jest. After Dybala scored the penalty in the game, I said, Dybala is a top 5 player in the world right now. That was in jest. Everybody's going after me. But can we agree that talent-wise, he is a top 10 player? Because my friend Matteo Bonetti put out a tweet responding to me saying the Guardian's top 10, and the 10th on the list was Virgil van Dijk. I think for position-wise, Dybala is a more talented player at his respective position than Virgil van Dijk is as a defender.
Tough, man. Top 10 though? Like out
talent-wise,
there,
just based on the talent.
I don't know if he's in the top 10. I love Dybala, but top 10's tight. Top 10's tight. But Virgil van Dijk, I mean, for their respective position, I mean, I've always
hang on, like
Van
Celtic
Dijk
Virgil van Dijk or Liverpool Virgil van Dijk?
Liverpool, right now.
Okay, yeah, well, they both stink, so it doesn't really matter.
So,
because I think if you're talking pure talent right now, like you put them on the pitch and see how they perform, Dybala is a top 10 player right now.
Fully fit? Oh.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Top 10 is just a little high. I think it's a little high. Top 20? I think you could talk about it for sure. Like for sure in top 20, but top 10's tight.
Well,
The thing
the
with
only
Dybala is
yeah.
this match. It's something I've been defending him for a while, and that's people that can't see him as a captain. There's a lot of different ways for captains to show up. He's starting to show that he can do it. All right.
He really showed it, man. I agree.
That's what I'm saying is like he's people that want to argue. And I said this in a tweet yesterday. I said, take the rumors, take the contract, take all that out and just simply watch. He makes an impact and this team plays better when he's on the pitch. Bottom line, period. When he starts holding guys accountable, when he starts yelling at them for missed progressions where the ball needs to go and missing options, that's captain shit. That's what ADP used to do. ADP's not a rah guy. You don't need a rah guy. We've got some of those guys. He's just, I could see him doing it. Again, very, very impressed with him coming off. I want to touch on a couple other little things that I saw. Very impressed with the poise Caio Jorge came in and showed in such a small little cameo. He's very intriguing. And that's all I'm going to leave it without going like, through the roof. Pretty impressed in the holdup and what he was doing and possession wise and in the circumstances that he entered the match. Thought it was pretty impressive for such a young guy getting into the Derby d'Italia and showing his stuff. It's interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing him in the Copa, and seeing more of what could potentially be there. There are talks he's going to be loaned out in January, but I highly doubt that that's going to happen. So I wouldn't pay much attention to those rumors. But Caio Jorge was interesting. Just wanted to
I
throw
saw
that
more
out.
to Caio Jorge in those 10 minutes than Moise Kean the last 2 games.
Yeah, ouch. Cliff ain't dancing for that one. Now, Bernardeschi has a slight sprain of the right shoulder, excluding a ligament injury. Okay, Moise Kean has muscle fatigue, and it also says excluding.
Don't know why.
But so we're just gonna get that out.
So much.
Those guys are there. I just wanted to update everybody on that. Kulusevski and Weston McKennie. We talked about this. This being a big opportunity, a big match for the two of them. Now, did they do anything to change their spot in the pecking order, so to speak? And I said this was a big one for Max to go with both of them. So this is kind of a 2-part question. For all the people that are arguing, did Allegri get it wrong from the start? How you guys feel about that? And did Kulusevski and Weston McKennie do enough to be in the conversation as some more often starting spots? Go for it.
Do you want me to start? Because you're going to go for this guy's going to go for like a 15-minute diatribe.
No, it can't be 15 minutes and I'll kick him out. So we're not scared.
I'm not smart enough to say whether Max got it right or wrong. You could see that there was the players weren't connected, right? So if that's a preparation, or if that's the where the players are in the lineup, that's, you could see it. The last 2 games, well, Zenit was away in Russia, so I kind of bit of a pass. But yes, I would say that Max got something wrong yesterday. I have full confidence that he'll fix it by Wednesday and Saturday. Because Saturday, I know someone in the notes, in the comments there mentioned that these next 2 games could be tricky. No, both these teams stink. We should win both these quite handily.
Verona just destroyed Lazio, though.
This is my moment, Cliff. Please, could you give me a minute? In terms of Kulusevski, I thought he had a good first half, but Al, you bring up good points. Kind of went into the wrong positions. He only had about 20 touches. I think McKennie has done enough to earn a spot. To keep it down up there. I think in terms of when required, he is really our only aerial threat in the box, especially on set pieces. Well, I know we have Bonucci and Chiellini, but he always seems to find the right position for those types of plays, and he does get forward, which I think, Al, that's what you want Locatelli to do. So if obviously I'd rather Locatelli than McKennie, but McKennie is pushing forward, and that's something that we didn't really have last year. So I don't think Kulishevsky's earned a spot because Dybala is going to take it, but I do think McKennie has earned more minutes.
Cliff.
Oh, I'm waiting. Is Ant on? Okay, he's done. So first of all, Verona beat Lazio 4-1. Let's get that straight first.
Lazio stink. Are we talking about Lazio now?
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, but
Lazio stinks.
Everybody stinks to you. You think Moise Keane stinks, and he does the best dance in the world. You can't kick me. I'm trying to make my comments, so you can't kick me yet. Not yet.
Don't tell me what I can and can't do, Cliff. Let's get that straight.
Okay. All right, Cliff.
So I think McKennie has done enough not to be in the starting lineup. I think we know when healthy it's Artur and Locatelli. I think most of us can agree on that. But I think in the second rotation, McKennie's done enough to be in that double pivot, but only if it's a 4-2-3-1. If you isolate those two in a 4-4-2, I think McKennie tries to do too much. If he has Dybala sitting in to receive the ball, it takes a little bit of the load off of him to try to go forward, and he instead passes it to Dybala to let him be more creative going forward, and then he can sit back a little bit more, McKennie with Locatelli, and have a little bit more of that defensive duty. But I think Rabiot and Bentancur, I've always said this, I just think they're such a defensive liability, and I think McKennie makes up for some of his shortcomings with his defense and his position, especially going forward when he makes those forward runs into the box. That's my thoughts. And then on Allegri, like Ant said, I'm not smart enough. I'm not an expert. He sees these guys every day. He goes based off what he sees in practice, so I'm going to defer to him. Oh, God.
I love this comment. I had to drop it right at the end of Cliff's pro McKennie. McKennie runs like a mindless chicken. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Magician Allegri, the Mister, joining us. We love having the Mister around. So surprised that tactically the game was a masterclass from he himself, stating that he had a masterclass. First half, despite the unfortunate deflection goal and Berna injury, Inter had not caused any trouble. Continues to say that second, subs were made the right time and played with more attacking approach. If Juve managed to score earlier, I would expect it a win. So here's my thing with this is, can we truly call it a masterclass and say that if Juve had managed to score earlier, because there was no threat of us scoring earlier because something was amiss. So it can't really, I wouldn't factor this one into a masterclass. He did well to neutralize Inter. Mm-hmm. I will 100% agree with that. But a masterclass, we were not positioned in the best manner to threaten them. Definitely not in the first half. Our best opportunity came off a scramble off a set piece where Morata volleyed one from the back, and then we had a Quadrado rip from about 30 yards out. That's not enough of a threat in the first half for me. We didn't seem likely to score in the first half, so I can't really give him a full grade there. But did he get it wrong, as some were saying, based on those other three? Well, we highlighted the fact of why he didn't. So maybe you could argue getting one of those guys in sooner. Maybe Dybala more than 25 minutes, maybe Chiesa more, right? You could make that argument. But overall, this game had not a lot into it, in the mids. Maybe Artur needed to come in a bit more if you can see that Loca's not getting involved, right? Give Inter, spread them out a little bit more. But one of the things I saw, is, again, we didn't do the right things to cause Inter enough issues offensively that we highlighted. How you do them? You stretch them out, find spaces, you got to make some penetrating runs. We were not. We didn't. We simply didn't. So, yeah, we've got some work to do and whatnot. But overall, I'll take a draw on this one. Like I said, in terms of Sassuolo and Verona, Luca was talking about them earlier. I totally don't expect us to start to soften up or anything or need to be concerned, because honestly, like, we've seen Max lose his mind when we've played lesser clubs. So the team will still approach all of this knowing exactly what they need to do We need to get the 6 points out of these next 2 matches, and I fully expect us to do so. We've got the right guys healthy now. I think we attack these 2 matches and get the job done. Kulishevsky and Weston is interesting with you guys and the points you bring up. I still don't see Weston as being ahead, and the reason is because Artur and Loka must play that supporting spot for me. I get that Weston can make some offensive runs and move forward there, but overall positionally he gets lost too easily. And we wouldn't need that as much if we can free up Locatelli. It's tough. It's a tough one between him and Bent. I think it's a pick your poison type thing. Even if you throw Rabiot in the mix, it's pick your poison with all of our supporting mids. I say rotate them, and eventually, hopefully, one of them gets hot. That you could find the spark there. But I think to just go with one steady guy all the time, not so much. But Loka and Artur, that's a must. That's an absolute must. What's
100%,
that?
100% agree. 100% agree with that. They're the starting 2. And then I like that you just said rotate them, because honestly, it's just whoever's hot, whoever Allegri sees is doing well in training that week. That's fine. If he wants to play like that, I have no problems with that.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to add here, I know everyone kind of laughs when I come up with these predictions, but the last 5 games, Torino, Rome, Zenit, Inter, last 4 games, I've said all those teams stink. And did any of those teams threaten us in those 4 games?
Zenit.
What? No, they all stink. I'm telling you right now, the next 2 teams stink. Don't let these teams fool you. Sassuolo has 3 wins, and all their wins are against the bottom feeders. And they had to beat Verona. Verona had to have a red card. So don't kid yourselves. Oh, these are tricky games. No, these teams stink. We should have 9 goals in the next 2 games.
Verona's a trap game. I'm saying that right now. Verona's a trap game. We have to be careful of that.
It won't be a trap because of Allegri. Allegri simply won't allow it. It's
a trap game with Pirlo as the coach. With Pirlo as the coach, you're like, oh, I don't know.
That's fair.
Yeah, with Allegri, man, I can't see it. Like I said, he's got these guys. Like how quick he reshaped the mentality is wild to me.
Exactly.
That's wild to me, because that I would have thought would be the hardest part, and coming after the fact of getting the play to stabilize, but he's definitely stabilized us defensively. And the mentality is right back where it needs to be. And that's every match, 3 points, no other objectives, and regardless of who's in there. Again, it was a bit risky with some question marks of playing both Kulu and Weston and whatnot. And I don't know.
It didn't work. Move on.
It didn't in the first half. Once he made the subs and stuff, we started to put the squeeze down and get a little bit more generated and whatnot. And also Inter kind of shelled up a bit, because I thought that with the first half and the fact that we really posed no threat, I wasn't surprised that they kind of shelled up, because they probably thought, oh, this is in the bag, And some of their fans are saying, oh, it was. Again, I have no idea what game they were watching when they say they were in total control for the entire 90 minutes. And it's like, I have no idea what game they watched. I think they're still just watching in the loop that 2-0 from last season or whatever, 3-0 when Pirlo got it completely wrong. So, yeah, they can just basically shut their mouths. I'm tired of hearing them. I'm kind of glad the Derby d'Italia weekend's over, because it is so hard to listen to some of them. And I say some because I've got some that I actually don't have a problem with, other than the fact we just hate each other's teams. Okay. And Tony always coming in with the they stink. And yeah, I guess he's been right.
I agree with Luca. This should be a new segment. Tony's stinky picks for the week.
Yeah. Okay. Every team we play stinks.
Every single team.
Well, what team has threatened us in the past 9 games?
And we need to hold a second. The magician Allegri wants to know your Twitter account and my Twitter account.
Yeah, I'll check it up there for everybody in the chat.
Because we need to give the Mister our Twitter account so we can see our great takes. Well, your stinky takes and my great takes.
My takes don't stink. My takes are actually genius. The other teams stink. I don't know what you guys are
I will give you credit. Some of your takes recently have been very good, very spot on. I will give you credit, but the rest of them are stinky, like old cheese.
Yeah.
I'm not just a big piece of baloney here, man.
No, Anthony's done. He's actually been right. We're always. It's interesting in the chat saying, "Oh man, Anthony, come on, show them a little bit of credit, give him a little bit of credit." He's like, "No, not at all."
Why?
And then of course it's been playing out that way. Big shout out to Lucci, who absolutely murdered the prediction game.
Unbelievable.
Just
Unbelievable.
slaughtered it.
Wasn't even close.
Alex, kind of my spirit animal here. We're just gonna pop this one up on the screen.
Oh,
here.
Alex, come on, my dude. Come
I
on.
think he's
Spirit
saying
animal.
you stink. But no, Alex
you
is a
do,
good
man?
friend of the pod. Don't take it so personally.
Alex hurt my feelings. I'm gonna cry.
Yeah,
That's what everybody does on Twitter. They get one take at them, and then they all start crying.
It's all good. It's all good. Lucci absolutely crushed the predictions. Guys, we had a lot of fun this week, and it was action packed with the tactics video, which everybody seems to be enjoying. So I'll just
Very
keep
good.
them going. Everybody seems to enjoy those a lot. Thanks for the support and all the comments and everything. I'll keep them rolling. This week is going to be an action-packed one. We'll have the tactical
Busy.
breakdown. We're going to have the match day live on Wednesday. We're going to attempt a watch along, but it's always hard with the midweek one, so it might not happen. So we apologize. But on the weekend, we're going to get back to business again. Another tactic breakdown, and then match day live, and then of course the podcasts to follow the following day. So yeah, everybody, Derby's over. 1-1, I think we can all agree, is a fair result for the match and what it produced. What both teams produced is what it is. We roll along. Still, that point, massive point. You didn't want to drop all three, so to take one out of that again, with now getting into a section of the schedule where we can make some serious noise and continue to put the squeeze on them and put the pressure, while we may be annoyed with all the talk, all the salt, all the conspiracy, it just shows we're back, baby. We're back.
All the way back.
We're the villains. We love it. We embrace it.
Rent free. And Amici di Nessuno, Striped Hearts Apparel, chose that for a damn reason. Okay. Anthony rocking the Bianconeri crest on the tee. Guys, Amici di Nessuno fits us 100%. They hate us because they ain't us. Okay. We're moving on to the next one. Sassuolo this midweek.
Big announcement this week too, right, Al? We got a big announcement.
Massive announcement. Again, another part of the expansion. And yes, that's going to be coming out this week. And all you FIFA players, okay, FIFA players,
Not
get
this
ready.
game.
Get ready,
You,
because we're
not
gonna
me.
have some good stuff coming up. Pro Clubs is gonna be firing up. Okay. And I'm gonna throw this up right now. PS5, AJC Berto. Add that profile. Okay. Get in there. There's going to be a lot of good stuff going on, and it's going to tie in with the announcement as well. So we've got a lot of stuff going on, and don't forget about alluvcast.com, the website for many great articles written by Juventini worldwide. It's going to be a lot of fun, and reach out if you want to take part. As always, everybody that took part in the live chat, thank you for all the support and being here. We will see you midweek. Fino alla fine. Forza Juventus. Ciao.